The next place we're going to be looking at in terms of how imperialism changed the world in the 1800s is the Middle East. And so I thought this would be a really great time to review Islam and the Muslim world. And I did put a link on X2 to this presentation, and if you just print it up as a handout with about 3 slides on a page, you'll get those nice lines. And I've got copies in the classroom too, but you can go right to X2 if you don't have that available right now. All right, hopefully you'll remember this from last year, so we can move pretty quickly. But Islam means submission and peace, so it has 2 meanings. A Muslim is a person who submits to the will of Allah and finds peace therein. It is noteworthy that Islam arose on the Arabian Peninsula, but it's also noteworthy to acknowledge that the present Muslim population in the world is only about 25% Arab, out of about 1 billion Muslims around the world. Okay, this is a picture of the Arabian Peninsula, where Saudi Arabia, among other countries, is located today. And it's important to acknowledge that Muslims represent many races, and there are significant differences of opinion within the Islamic community. Okay. Islam developed, again, in the Arabian Peninsula about 570 AD with Muhammad, who was born in Mecca. At age 25, he married a woman named Khadijah. And later in life, about age 40, which is actually quite old for that day and age, he becomes the prophet. The story goes that in 610, God sent an angel named Gabriel, which might sound familiar to some people. Muhammad is initially scared because he's this illiterate merchant, but it's his wife who encouraged him to submit to the will of God. So we consider Khadijah to really be the first convert. Part of what Muhammad did was reject the traditional Arab gods, which threatened the merchants of Mecca. Mecca was not really an oasis in the desert, but it was a place where the nomads would stop and, resupply themselves or sell some goods. And so, one of the things that would be sold to people would be sacrifices that they could make to the various Arab gods, and having multiple Arab gods was very good for business. There'd be lots of different visits to different shrines. And so here's Muhammad saying, no, you don't need to do all that. There's only one God. And so they kick him out of Mecca. He goes to Medina in 622, and this journey to Medina is considered the first year of the Muslim calendar. It's in Medina where Muhammad's reputation grows, thousands of people adopt Islam, and ultimately the Muslims come back to Mecca in 630 and defeat those who rejected Islam, and then Muhammad dies shortly thereafter. The journey from Mecca to Medina is called the Hijra, and so the Muslim calendar is calculated AH, which is sort of loosely translated from the Latin Anno Hijrae, which means year of the Hijra. Okay, the message of Islam was carried out through the caliphs, or the successors to Muhammad, very strict monotheism. The Quran is the sacred word of God as it was revealed to Muhammad. The words of the Quran are considered to be the direct speech of God in Arabic, so translating the Quran into different languages is considered blasphemous. It's interesting that the Quran makes references to Noah and Moses and Abraham and David and Solomon and Job and Jonah, so some of the same characters as in the Judeo-Christian holy books. And the Quran is a complete guide to life, so it's not just religious life, but also business life, family life, etc. So in that sense, Islam is not just a religion, but it is a religion and a way of life, or an ethical philosophy.